Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I think we've had a bit of discussion on this last week also in the debate, the motion that was introduced by Honourable Biman Prasad last week. Madam Speaker, the public-private partnership, as highlighted last week, is obviously in the public end is the government of Fiji, and the private end is Fiji National Provident Fund, and also a internationally certified hospital. They'll partner with them to get a concession on the Lautoka hospital and also the Ba hospital. It is not privatization. I've seen a lot of people, Honourable Prasad even said last week, it's privatization. Privatization, just because we have a PPP, it does not mean it's privatization. It's a public-private partnership, which simply means that there's a public arm, there's a private arm, and they enter a partnership to deliver a particular service. Privatization means is that when you sell off something completely and it becomes completely private. That's privatization. So, Madam Speaker, as has been highlighted on a number of occasions, Madam Speaker, that there are a number of services currently that are not available in Fiji, primarily because of the lack of personnel. It's not because Fijians aren't capable of doing it, of carrying out those procedures. It's because of the lack of exposure, the lack of training, the lack of specialized training, the lack of specialized accessibility to various procedures. So, for example, if you do not have open heart surgery being carried out in Fiji, obviously the doctors here cannot learn about it from a practical sense because it's not being done here. They need to go overseas. They need to be sent overseas. They need a level of exposure. And as has been highlighted previously, that you cannot get that level of exposure within 1 or 2 years after doing MBBS. People take them 10, 15 years to become specialists. Now, let's assume that at the moment, and it is actually a fact, we don't have a Fijian who can do open heart surgery. If we are then going to say, okay, let's now train all these people in this particular area, we have to wait another 7, 10 years maybe. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to bring that service now to Fiji. There are areas of oncology. There's areas of palliative care. All of these areas in medical services that are currently not available, or it may be available but in a very rudimentary sense. It's not in a highly specialized sense. So, Madam Speaker, many countries have done this, not something peculiar to Fiji, where they have partnered with the private sector and they've brought in those services, within a very short period of time. As you know, as highlighted also, our Honourable Prime Minister is currently in India. He's also having bilaterals with the Prime Minister of India. One of the areas that Prime Minister Modi, who gave a speech here in this Parliament, in his speech and also post the speech, he did say that he wants and he believes that Fiji can become a regional medical hub for the Pacific, because we are geographically and strategically located in the hub. And therefore, he wants to be able to provide a particular level of equipment to Fiji to be able to provide services not just to Fijians, but also Pacific Islanders living around the Pacific. So we've grabbed that opportunity, and so we are looking at bringing in this internationally certified hospital, partnering with FNPF to provide that concession. We have used IFC, which has done similar types of public-private partnerships, and we've actually called for expressions of interest. Now, we hope that the expressions of interest, Madam Speaker, and the final identification of that partner will be done by May, early May. Now, once that is done, an announcement is made, then we'll be able to have that provider come into Lautoka and Ba. We will then be able to use the Indian government undertaking that was given to us to provide us with equipment. So, for example, you may have a 8 or 12 slice scanner. You can now get a 64 slice scanner. You can get very high-tech sort of MRI machines. All of this can be given because the Indian government will also feel a particular level of confidence that the people who will be running the hospital actually know how to use the equipment, actually can provide the services, and indeed it will be helping the rest of the Pacific Island countries. Ba Hospital becomes the feeder hospital because Ba Hospital in fact caters for the northwest of Viti Levu. Now it is a modern hospital, it is yet to be equipped because we're waiting for this deal to be done, but it's been done in a very sophisticated and very hospital-friendly manner, the architecture. In fact, one of the key architects of the Ba Hospital are the architects who actually designed the Star Hospital in Auckland. I think it is called the Star Hospital, I forget the exact name. But they are the people who have done it. Before, we've had government architects designing hospitals. They don't know anything about hospitals per se. We need experts who actually know how hospitals need to be designed. We've had designs wherever, for example, you wheel the trolley or the bed and you cannot even turn around the corner because it's not been taken into account. There will be a trolley this big to turn around the corner. This is why you have all this breakdown of the walls, etc. There are lots of places that need to be remedied, Madam Speaker. There are issues in Abu Hospital. I'm most correct in that, Honourable Karawaki. So, Madam Speaker, we need to take a modern approach to this. So, the public-private partnership, before we went out to the public, we actually went and met the doctors and nurses and other ancillary staff at Lautoka Hospital and also Ba Hospital. They were actually very much supportive of this because they recognized very quickly, because they are professionals in that area, that it will give them all of a sudden a ability to leapfrog into providing services. So, for example, one of the nurses who on her own is looking after cancer patients, she said many of these people, they cannot actually go home, but they're actually occupying beds in the hospital when they really should not be occupying beds. Is there a halfway place that they can be looked after? So we are looking at things like aftercare, because as has been announced last week, Madam Speaker, and as we made in the public announcements, that part of the deal is with the PPP that whoever comes in needs to build a new hospital or block altogether. Now, part of the block obviously will be the modernization of the facility, but also things like the theatre that will be built, the operating theatre that will be built. It needs to have a viewing area so the students at the University of Fiji, at FSM, can actually come and view surgeries, as they do internationally overseas. So those are the kind of facilities that will be built. And we have, Madam Speaker, the costings have already been done for that. The other point, unless there's some supplementary question, the other point about it, Madam Speaker, is that there will be no change to any ordinary Fijian currently who are paying whatever fees they pay at Lautoka Hospital. There's no change to that whatsoever. Of course, Madam Speaker. Of course, Madam Speaker. We would like in time to come a person who may be currently, who does not even go to Lautoka Hospital because he or she earns $500,000 a year, business people who go for their medical checkups overseas, if they want to be able to access high-end medical services, we would actually like them to pay for it too. They are not our customers in any case at the moment. But all the Fijians who are currently going to Lautoka Hospital there won't be any change whatsoever in the tariffs that they're currently paying. So I think it is a hoax. It is a hoax by anybody who's commenting on these issues publicly, in the media or in social media about it. There's a lot of shenanigans going on social media at the moment, without any sort of analysis, without trying to get the facts, amateurish analysis, to saying, oh my God, privatization, public-private partnership, everything will go out of the window. It's not true, Madam Speaker. So we are now going to be able to offer through this PPP a range of services that currently are unavailable. Of course, Madam Speaker, our first priority are ordinary Fijians to be able to get access to these kind of services. They don't have to go overseas. But in time to come also, Madam Speaker, with an internationally certified hospital, you are also be able to tap into other areas of the economy that we cannot currently do so. Point one, medical tourism. Point two, Madam Speaker, retirement homes. We've had a number of Japanese investors, for example. In my time as Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Minister of Tourism is also getting this kind of request. People do want to come and set up retirement villages in Fiji, but they do need access to full tertiary medical care. So, if you got some retired person from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, wherever it is, if they come and retire here, spend most of their winter in Japan and to come here, they will need access to good quality medical services. So that means if we're able to offer it, you'll have more retirement villages set up. What does it mean? More investment, more jobs, more opportunities for our people. I think there was a question asked of the Honourable Usumate by the opposition the other day. I think it was Honourable Nawaikula, about, after the care for elderly people. Do we have training for that? It will create a whole new industry in that respect. We recently had about 18 months or 2 years ago, a very well-known international company that most of you know about that wanted to come and have a conference here. 3,000 of the senior executives and other people around the world wanted to come here. But the first thing they did was, they came and did a reconnaissance. They went to Nandi Hospital and Lautoka Hospital, and they said, if something happens to one of our senior executives, we'll be able to cater for them. And they said, no, you can't. Sorry, we'll go to another destination. We are missing out on these business opportunities also. So they left, and we obviously now, if we get those facilities available, and because everybody knows the Western Division is predominantly where all the hotels are, is where the Nandi International Airport is, and Lautoka is there, it also fits in very well strategically in that respect. The third point, of course, Madam Speaker, countries like Australia and New Zealand, in particular Australia at this point in time, Madam Speaker, where the waiting time at a public hospital is about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes. You go to Queensland, it's around about that time too. Different states have different waiting times. But not just that, Madam Speaker. It's not just the waiting time, but they also have a queue for elective surgeries. Huge queue for elective surgeries. So, excuse me, Medicare, which is the National Health Insurance Scheme of Australia, recognizing the fact that they are waiting, there's a queue for elective surgeries, have also now offered that those Australians who go offshore and can get those elective surgeries at internationally recognized hospitals, they will get paid for that too, through the scheme, because they recognize that. Now, this is why we are insisting that if we get an internationally certified hospital, we can get Australians to come and get the elective surgeries. We can offer them just that, not just that, sorry. We can also then throw in a 2-week package at at some hotel. Recover after you have your surgery. Get a suntan, whatever it is, and they go back home. It creates a whole new industry that's related to the medical field. Thank you, Madam Speaker.